Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Get to Know UIC, Get to Know United in Christ. Today I am excited to be joined by none other than our property head at the helm of the committee, none other than our own Ken Criswell. Ken, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us this morning.
Hello, all.
It's good to see you. I'm so glad that you could be a part of this, especially as you have been one of the, I like to think of you as one of the busy bees around the place, especially with all you do among the property committee and tended to things and making sure they get done in incredible and timely fashions. And so for me, again, you've been a part of the congregation as long as I have, but I know that you've got a great storied history with United in Christ. So how long has it been for you that you've been a member at UIC?
I was born and baptized into the church, and then when I went to college. Out of college, spent four years in Reading.
Okay.
Met my wife at the church.
There you go.
She was not a member.
That's a familiar theme I'm hearing from some of these couples within the congregation.
Yeah, uh, she passed away last year, just shy of our 51st wedding anniversary.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've actually, when we came back to the area in '73, uh, we came back to, at that time, St. John's,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much were members here until Jenny was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy
Yeah,
and ended up in a wheelchair. So we went to her home church in Lewisburg.
yeah.
But my roots go way back. I'm the sixth generation member here.
Wow, that's
I have,
impressive.
my parents were members, both sets of grandparents, three sets of great grandparents, two sets of great great grandparents, and one great 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 grandparents who were members of the log church.
Nice. That's cool. There's a very cool immediate connection to that history, right? The log building that was built in what? It's 1819 or something. I think the.
I'm not sure. They died in the 1850s and 1860s,
Wow.
so they would have been probably members from the original.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's very, very cool. And so I love this. If you're willing to tell it, you've got this story of how you and Ginny met at the church. It was, if I were, yeah, I see it's a knowing chuckle because you've told me the story, and I believe my reaction was, if I did that as a youth pastor or as a pastor today with our youth, I think I might get run out of the church. But you met at youth group, correct?
We met at the youth group. It was a hayride. Uh, Me and my buddies were not on the hayride. We just came there for the food. And
Awesome.
in the process of that, they were playing this game where you have chairs in a
Uh
circle,
huh.
and the girls sit in chairs, and the guys are standing behind them. And somehow or another, I got into that game. And uh, what would happen is the guy would wink at a girl, and whoever had the empty seat, he would wink at a girl, and she would try to get away from her guy and get over in the seat.
Uh huh.
Well, when Jenny got into my seat, she never left. I just kept pulling on her sweater, which her mother made for her, and she was very upset for me for pulling on her sweater.
I remember her telling me
But
that. Yes.
but we were together for 55 years.
That's incredible. That's just incredible. Starting from the youth group down below the basement in the church, that's just remarkable. That's very cool. So for all of those years, then, right? Starting with such a storied history as it is, what was it? What is it that kept you coming back to the congregation and keeps you coming back now?
It's family.
Yeah.
It's just family. Uh, I don't think there's any members there that go back much further than I do, so we're kind of down to that generation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The part of that storied kind of familial infrastructure of the community, right?
Yep.
It's very, very cool. It's very cool. And so I know that you are serving right now. Is this your second term on church council?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and for about as long you've been the property chair, I think, if I recall correctly, because you rejoined the congregation back in 2016, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So over these recent years and even in the years prior, where is it that you in your role as a steward and leader within the congregation and on those committees, where is it that you see God at work among this congregation and among the people here at United in Christ?
Well, it doesn't matter what problem we get into. There's always a solution. And just the latest refurbishment we did was the fellowship hall.
Yeah.
And that was a separate project. It was around $15,000.
Yeah.
And we put out the word to everybody, and the funds came, and we successfully finished that last summer.
Yeah. 9 months it took, right? That's it. Just
Yep.
9 months of saving up, and it got done.
And now we're working on the front of the church, on the landscape,
Yeah.
and we're going through a similar thing. So we're actually improving the presentation of the church to the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I've appreciated about working with you in the midst of all of these larger projects, and let's be honest, I'm not sure that we were anticipating those larger projects when you came on as property chair necessarily. But what's been cool is working with you is getting an understanding that, like, this isn't about just creating nice spaces for ourselves, but it's about how do we reflect the community that we feel called as, so that our spaces reflect our identity, right? So that they reflect our authentic selves. And I know that you've had some great reflections because by sending our council members every summer out on field trips to go worship other places, it reminds us of what it feels like to be a visitor, right? And I know
sure.
you have taken that energy in turn and kind of seen that expanded. Think about all of the things we do, and how does a visitor feel doing these, going through these motions and seeing these spaces and interacting with us in these ways. And I've super appreciated your voice and willingness to think in that way.
But it's kind of automatic for me because I spent 44 years in project and plan engineering.
I was just about to say, because you said earlier, when there's a problem, we tackle it, right? And that was very much in line with your line of work, was it not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
it was an interesting 44 years. My work took me to Europe more times than I wanted.
I don't know of anyone who's ever complained about having to go to Europe so many times before.
Well, everybody thinks that's luxurious, but when you spend 5 weeks at a time there, it gets old.
I believe that. Yeah.
But spent time on the West Coast in Canada, Vancouver, one trip to Australia, so it's gotten me around the world.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool. And certainly equipped you with the sense of seeing how things are done in all these different places, I imagine, and then being able to bring that to a different context and be able to say, we can cross compare and analyze and see what works in different places and maybe implement this here, but see that we're doing really well in another area and build up those strengths, right? That's super cool.
Yeah, and it was different because it wasn't a tourist situation that I was there for. I was actually working with,
of course,
with the people there, having to learn to communicate.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting times.
Yeah. How's your German?
Not good.
Not
Thankfully, they all speak English.
That's right. That's very gracious of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very good. Very cool. Well, so then with all of this great history that gives us motivation and provides us this energy, what is it for you then, as you think about the congregation today and in the directions we're heading? What are your continued hopes and dreams and aspirations for United in Christ?
I just welcome new members, and it's just amazing how a lot of the churches are losing membership, even closing, and we're expanding.
Sure, yeah.
I think you're going to be taking in 9 new members here shortly.
We've got 10 who are standing at the ready and are ready to join as soon as we can get a green light to make it happen. We're excited to welcome them, yeah.
And that's just such a good feeling, and it's because of our congregation. It's just one big happy family.
Exactly. The narrative I hear from, and we heard from the Furmans even last week, and that I hear from visitors all the time, is that this congregation makes quick work of making visitors feel included as if they'd been there all along, right? That they naturally feel like they belong and are a part of this community and are integrated in that way. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. Cool. So then I'll give you one last chance. What if there's anything you want to leave the congregation with right now? What would it be? These are your opportunity. Any question that I didn't get to ask you that you would have preferred to answer over this, or any other pearls of wisdom from Ken today? What is it you'd like to share with the congregation?
If we just keep doing what we're doing, and welcoming like we welcome, we'll just continue to grow.
Absolutely. And it's kind of incredible to see how even just a place and a stance of welcome can be so radical and can be so life changing and life giving for a community like this, isn't it? Uh,
And it's always been that way
yeah, yeah. I've heard from your
in
stories
my
that
in my 73 years.
in your 73 years. Well, oh, you outed yourself on that one, so I'm not going to take any blame for that, so don't come looking for me. But it is incredible, isn't it? That you could see, especially given your story of having left for a little while and come back to experience that just that authentic and simple sense of welcome return, right? It's just such an unquestioned and such an easy thing for this community, and for that I'm just incredibly grateful. And I'm grateful for you taking the time to be here today. This was really nice. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's been a real joy and a real pleasure, and I'm sure it will be for the folks who are watching later too.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for everyone else out there, thank you for tuning in. We've got more episodes through the rest of the week. I hope you can join us. But in the meantime, God's continued peace and blessings in the days ahead. And I'll look forward to seeing you hopefully sooner rather than later. Ken, again, thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, take care.
Absolutely. Take care. It's been a blast. And we'll see y'all later. Bye for now.
Okay.